One of the game's modern greats this weekend plays game 350, with the Cats celebrating danger with 1,000 free white tees. The tinfoil hats came out over the weekend, claiming it's a big fib, with the AFL playing Friday night game in Tassie to prove the stadium needs a lid. Bags of goals from the competition's big men left the AFL fans inspired. And Damo, you'll be 64 years old when Cozzy Pickett's new deal expires. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, dissecting everything from round 14 and having a look to round 15. As always, the St Kilda superstar, Joey Montagna, is here with us.
Hello, Rabsy. Nice to see you too. Yeah, the white tees for danger. That's going to be interesting because it's going to be about 1 degree down at Geelong Friday night. I don't think we're going to be seeing too many white T-shirts underneath all the puffer jackets, but it's a nice idea.
Damo, you are here with us as well, one of the game's most poignant voices.
Oh, there you go. Right. Also, too, with that 9-year deal, every chance Scotty Pendlebury might still be going around in that time frame as well.
Yes.
No sign of slowing down.
No, and no Daisy, I should say. He is off, we don't know where, on assignment in Perth. He is one of the game's best voices and nicest men. We brought someone else in who was one of the game's nicest men. Who
number one pick to replace
Number
those.
one pick who won a best and fairest at 2 clubs all the way from South Australia. The great Bernard Vince is here.
Bernie. Oh, great to be on, boys. Nice knowing I was the number one replacement and that I was available, so very happy to be on.
What do you know about the pecking order that did unfold during the course of the week once we knew Daisy wasn't available for today? Because we're not sure how much you know. We might have to let you in on a little behind-the-scenes secret.
Is there a bit more to this, is there?
Well, Joey's got some evidence that you might want to be aware of.
First, we need to check why Daisy's not here. So Rabsy's just said on assignment, my mail is this brand Daisy, Bernie, brand Daisy's gone off its head. He's doing everything. I think he might be on assignment filming one of his little golf shows that he's got.
Yeah, which are going gangbusters.
But does he burn us, the Midweek Rub, that pays his bills for his little own golf show?
How many years have we been doing this slot now? Is it 5
years?
Six?
5 or 6 years.
It's got a nice little slot. It's in the diary every single
Surely you booked your
Wednesday.
golf trip around the Midweek Rub. But no, Bernie, I must admit, you weren't first on the list, to be fair.
On. So who was? Who was?
Well, Nath Brown's the obvious replacement. He loved it when he filled in. I think he wants to be a permanent on the show, but we're not going to have that.
But he wants to host.
He wants to host, though. That's the problem. So, but we got Nath first. He was unavailable today. I mean, maybe we'll get to why in a moment. So it might be dusty.
Second draft pick. I'm happy with that still.
Do we ask Tommy Rockcliffe again? Because he was asked to fill in on the Saturday Rub a couple of years ago by Rosie, who was doing the producing at the time. And then she told Jim that she'd asked Tommy to fill in. And then Jim said, can you ring him back and say he's not required? So was he asked again as well?
That was sort of replaced me on the Saturday Rub. I was actually, I won't go into detail, but I was throwing up. It was both ends. It was bad. I couldn't have actually spoken. Yeah, I had a heap the night before.
Unfortunately, Izzy Smith was also unavailable because he went to South Africa to run for Carrie's Beanies for brain cancer. So he has only just arrived
back.
So
we're down to 3.
No,
We've asked 3 people.
Hang on, we asked Luffy, but he's got a game at the Geckos this week. Luffy's playing for the Geckos, so he was unavailable.
In Bali on a footy trip. Every footy trip I went on, I saw a bloody Luffy. I don't know how he was always there.
So is he coming in about number 4?
Hang on.
No. There was people down in Tassie as well that couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Tubesy.
Yeah.
Tubes? No, not Tubes. You didn't ask Tubes before me. I'm drawing a line in the sand here. Surely
Anyway, welcome, Bern. Welcome.
Yes.
I feel very welcome now. I'm the last picked in the schoolyard. I'm the fat kid.
What happened with Tommy Rockcliffe? What was the Rockcliffe? Tell us the Tommy Rockcliffe story.
So I was very crook, and I just said to Jim, I rang him in the morning. I said, mate, I actually can't get up without spewing. I'm in big trouble here. And then he's like, oh, no worries, we'll get something sorted, all good. And I didn't really hear much else about it. But apparently, Rosie, I was speaking to Rosie, and Rosie's like, oh, no, we'll get, who would be available? And she went, oh, Tom Rockcliffe, yeah, he's, captain of the Brisbane Lions and, pretty decent name. She thought, pretty decent name. So Jim hadn't had any conversation with Rosie yet, and he's living in Brisbane, so he's driven all the way into the studio in Brisbane, gone in, and he's got his notes. He does take notes. I don't think he can read, but he writes something down. And he had all these notes, and he's ready to go, and he had some zingers and some funny stuff. He thought he was going to be funny. And then 5 minutes before we come on air, it's probably when Jim rocked up, actually. Yeah. And he walks in, and he's like, righto, Burn's not here. Yep, no worries. Yeah, we've got Tommy Rockcliffe. He's going to fill in today. He goes, who? The Rock. The Rock's going to fill in for us. He's going to replace Burn. He goes, not having that. He's not coming on. So poor Rocky, tail between his legs, packed up his notepad and had to drive home and go, Oh, geez.
We played a man short that day.
They just went a man short.
I'd rather go one short than have Rocky.
Well, we thought Nath Brown was going to be our first point of call, but
Yeah.
I'm just concerned, Damo, because I saw last night you had a Friday huddle sort of reunion / catch-up dinner.
We did.
And I know when
Yeah.
Nath Brown tries to go red for red with you, he can pull up a bit dusty. He's not hungover, is
Well,
he?
he was
How
going
did
to
the dinner-
drive, actually. He actually said to me, sent me a private text, are you driving? I said, no chance. So then he got a car in as well. No, it was actually it was a quiet night, but it was a good night. But he'd be fine this morning.
Yeah, okay. What about, so Juddy was there?
Juddy was there and Das was there, who were no longer on the Friday huddle. And then the four of us who are remaining were there as well. It was a really good catch-up.
Did they have any feedback for you, the boys, or not?
I'm not sure they listen. Although they're in a minority. They're in a minority on the Friday night.
Again?
Numbers were good.
Well done. Triple
What
M
was
in
the
general.
chief like? Was he there?
Chief was good. Chief was
Yeah.
just taking it in his stride, as he always does.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, there's some huge games in round 15. We're going to get your predictions a little bit later on. Fair dinkum or Fugazi, get ready for that, Bernie. But up next, Damo, it is your news. And Jamarra Ugle-Hagan is back at the Bulldogs. We'll discuss that next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Damo and Bernie this week. Fair dinkum or Fugazi still to come. But right now, it's time for your news, Damo. And Jamarra is back in the West.
He is. Arrived at the footy club on Monday, trained yesterday, Tuesday, and wants to play VFL as soon as this week, guys. But that won't be happening. I mean, the fitness and conditioning staff at the Bulldogs will make sure he has a body of work. It may be as long as 6, but it may be sometime between, obviously, now and 6. I don't think it'll be 6 weeks. But just the backstory to it's, I think, quite significant. And it's allowed him to come back into the footy club. He put himself into was effectively a 40-day, let's describe it as an intensive, holistic wellness retreat at a place in northern New South Wales. And it was all in, and he committed to it being all in. And upon return to Melbourne last week, he knew that he needed to then make contact with the Western Bulldogs people. And Luke Beveridge gave him an hour or so at a cafe in Melbourne. And then the CEO, Amit Baines, had him round to his house with Sam Power, the footy operations boss. And from there, it went to the captain, Marcus Bontempelli, and Tom Liberatore, and also Aaron Norton, who he's very close with. And they all gave the sign-off to allow him to come back in. He came into the club on Monday. He spoke to the group. And what the people at the Bulldogs are saying, guys, without wanting to go on record with it, is that he seems different, he sounds different, and they're prepared to give him a go. And I think it's really significant because this time, even last week, he was no chance to play at all for the Bulldogs this season. And right now, he does have a chance. Now, it still is a long shot chance, but give him a chance, and it's in his control.
Well, that's great news, first of all, that he's in a good enough headspace that he can come back to the club. The couple of questions when I hear that is, first of all, what is the leeway now with him? Like, does this mean he's all in and he's going to have to do a mini pre-season for 4, 6, 8 weeks to at least get himself in reasonable shape? What if he does miss a session or two? Are they in a good enough place, the club, where they say we probably expect that and we'll work through it? Is it a bit of a hard stance where it's like, no, if you're in and you're here now, it's all in? Where do you think that sort of sits?
From a senior football perspective, as in AFL level, he hasn't got any leeway left.
Yeah,
if he misses a
box.
session, I would say that's it.
Yeah.
And he is understanding of that.
Yeah.
From a stay in the club system and work through the problems that are acknowledged and being addressed, probably the VFL stays as an option. And that also, too, is important to him because whether it is at the Bulldogs that he stays and honours the contract for 2026, if that's not the case, he then has been able to say to the rest of the competition, well, at least got myself back into a club system for the back half of this season.
You know what you hear and read, Damo, is all about relationships, and he's burnt all the relationships at that footy club and basically non-mendable. He couldn't come back. So obviously something has changed, and one of those players is the captain, the coach. He seems like it's just come from nowhere. For me, that was a huge surprise to read and hear about this because I just felt like his future was so far from the Western Bulldogs that it wasn't funny.
There's again, without wanting to, I won't tell you who I spoke to because I didn't want to go on record, but there's a genuine feeling that what he did in this visit to the retreat has changed him. And it's an acknowledgement for the first time in these people's eyes that he did something to make himself better, or at least return to what he was. So, and from listening to him, they're able to say now that he has changed. Now, whether that is sustainable, and I think the points you and the questions you just asked then, Joey, are the same questions they have as well. But significantly, Byrne, he has been given the chance, and it required Luke Beveridge, obviously, as the starting point to allow that to happen. And then down the line, every other key decision maker at the club has also bought in on that.
Yeah, it's still a long shot, I think, that he plays, and hopefully it's just no more distractions. That's going to be the issue because that would be the worst thing for the Western Bulldogs as they make a charge back into the season with Sam Darcy back in the team, that he's not a distraction. Again, does he play in the senior team? It's probably going to be unlikely, isn't it? But hopefully he gets some VFL footy. Yeah, he's happy with where he's at and the club are, and they can make the decisions at the end of the season what the rest of his career looks like. But that's positive news.
Yeah.
What do you think about next year, Damo, from your conversations? Is he a chance to be a Bulldog next year from nowhere?
Look, I just don't ever say never to anything these days, Bern. Like you, a week ago, I thought it was fanciful to think that he'd be allowed back into the club the way he has been. So already there's a significant shift on that in the space of a week. I think next year's a very separate conversation to this year. If I feel right now he's more likely to play for the Bulldogs again this year and this year only. But let's see what happens. And I think importantly, he's been given the knowledge that if he does tick every box that he now needs to tick, there is a chance. And I think that is something that he needed as well to allow himself to feel that whatever lies ahead is now back in his control, which it hadn't been for some time for the reasons that we've all expressed regularly. Harry Mackay, guys, as we now know, as a result of Carlton releasing this yesterday, needs a procedure on a troublesome knee. He's missed the past 2 weeks. As we talked this morning, we do time code this show. It's 10:26 on the Wednesday. We don't yet know whether Charlie Curnow is going to be available for the Blues against North Melbourne on the weekend. So these are inopportune timings, Bern, when it comes to the big boys up forward for the Blues.
Yeah, concerns for Carlton and North Melbourne. They'll be licking their lips, I reckon, about this weekend. Gave them a bit of a chance anyway, but with both of those two potentially out now, it certainly puts that in North Melbourne's favour. But just haven't got that right this year, have they? Both of those guys, either one was out early on in the season and then it flipped around and they switched, and then Harry had that time away, but they just haven't been able to get them both fit and firing at the same time.
Does pose a question too about Harry Mackay's future. I know there's been some conversations. There is some frustrations internally with Mackay. I mean, this injury you can't really control, but that's going to be another big watch with whether Carlton decide, depending where they finish, and it's most likely they're going to miss the 8, whether then they make some change with their list personnel going forward. Yeah,
and given they're still very knowledgeable of the financial offer put to Tom de Koning makes it effectively impossible for them to go near matching financially, but they still haven't given up hope of retaining him. But there's already an expectation they'll be making moves on the back of the exit there of Tom de Koning. Oscar Allen Byrne, injured now with a leg injury, a muscle between the knee and the ankle, the plantaris officially it's called. I raise his name here today, given what's happened to him this year, the banged up nature of his body, and I'm prepared to say mind because of how he's been publicly after being outed, in inverted commas, for the meeting he took with Sam Mitchell. Do you, if you are him, seek to play again this year as an Eagle as you ponder a future away from the Eagles next year?
I reckon if you plan to stuff a situation up any worse than what has happened here, you couldn't have done it. The leaked meeting and then his form and then he's talking about his mental state during this. It's been terrible for him. So, but as a player, you want to get back and play. You want to play. If you're available to play, you play. Whether he stays at West Coast is another conversation again. He'd want to get back and play, no doubt about it. And I think West Coast need him.
I'm a bit the opposite. I think the best for everyone is just to put him on ice now. Just mentally, if he's already knows that he's probably going to take that Brisbane offer, there's no point West Coast playing him if he's not going to be part of the future. For him, I think just the time away, get his body right, get his mind right. It probably suits Brisbane Lions. I think it probably suits West Coast in the end. I'd be surprised if he plays again. I think it's just in everyone's best interest that put him on ice, get him right, make the move, and then everyone's happy.
Can you plan for someone at a current club though for the next year to make it, better for Brisbane? And is it better for West Coast not to play him?
I think it is, because what if he gets injured again? And then that might change the scenario with his contract situation, which means the compensation pick that West Coast are looking getting at pick 2. They want to make sure it's pick 2.
Yep.
They want to make sure it's the tier.
Those secret herbs and spices will ensure it's pick 2. Joey.
But if he gets injured again,
you can just lock that in.
It's like KFC, isn't it? It's like the secret recipe.
Whatever it needs to be at any given point in time is the.
Don't worry, what's in it tastes good.
Tastes good. No good for you, but it tastes good.
It does taste very good, actually. I might go and get some now. Before we move on to Dangerfield 350, another injury at the Lions, Damo.
Yeah, Jack Payne now out for the season too, and he's such an important cog. He got himself body-wise right for the back end of last year and was crucial in the final series and has been again this year as Harris Andrews goes about his work. They've got a role or a hole now to fill. It will be one of combinations potentially over the next few weeks of Tom Duda, who's yet to play at the Lions after 3 knee reconstructions, one as a Lions listed player, 2 as a Crow, and the other one who I think's the one that will come in this week is Darcy Gardner.
Yeah, it's a big blow for Brisbane, to be honest. I mean,
Trouble, Brisbane.
Yeah, they're not flying, and then to have a key pillar, your key defensive stocks in pain out for the year, it's going to make it even more challenging. So I think Chris Fagan will be putting it on some of those other players, the Rainers and these sort of guys, and Zach Bailey, the star players through the midfield. They're going to have to step up and shoulder the load because unfortunately they can't replace like for like with a player like Payne.
Harris Andrews plays better too when Payne's in that side.
100%.
They're going well. He's allowed to. Payne's a lockdown, and then Harris Andrews can just sort of play his role and drop off and influence the contest a lot better. So that sort of undoes all their strengths, doesn't it? Yep. Really opens them up.
And Bert, someone you know really well, Paddy Dangerfield, game 350 this week. He's going to be one of those rare players in that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and down the track it might even have the legend status attached to it possibly. But I just raised it. Is it fair to say that even in season 18, as he is now in, at the age of 35, that he is still enhancing his greatness? Because I feel what he's doing this year is actually doing that. He's becoming greater at this late stage of his career.
It's a different role, isn't it? Playing forward a lot more, but he hasn't just gone forward and played forward. He's influenced games. He's kicking bags and having a real influence. But he's just someone that surprised me to get this far. The way he plays, since he was an 18-year-old that came into the Adelaide Footy Club, he has not changed the way he plays. He's just head first. He's a battering ram. He looks cooked all the time. He gets smashed, and he's got to 350 games. And as you said, he's sort of developed his game for a different role now that could potentially last a few more years.
I like it. I think he is enhancing his reputation. Is it? I never saw Lee Matthews play. Is it similar to what Lee Matthews did at the end of his career, where he was obviously the best on ball of all time, but then went forward and was just as good?
Yeah, I think it's a fair comparison, and it's not
a big comparison.
Yeah, but he's a name that you can have in the same conversation. Now, obviously, Lee's still up there by himself,
of course.
But he's in that rung of conversation.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Scott declared this pre-season that they're going to play him this way. It's already had 2 different, I suppose, genres, hasn't it, in the short time he's played as a forward, because he was almost the focus there for a while. Jeremy Cameron was up the ground. Then he got injured. Now Cameron's staying as a lockdown or more lockdown. So, yeah, it's working beautifully for them. He doesn't have to actually hit the scoreboard despite playing as effectively as a key forward.
Jezza came out and said he's costing him a Coleman when he plays, so he probably doesn't want him back.
Well, that is a huge game on Friday night down at GMHBA Stadium with a bunch of white T-shirts as well. Geelong versus Brisbane. We'll get your predictions for round 15 soon, but up next it's Fair Dinkum or Fugazi on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Damo and Bernard Vince. Excited to have Bernie as part of Fair Dinkum or Fugazi this week. We'll see how he goes. Let's start with you though, Damo. Conspiracy theory. The AFL deliberately scheduled the Friday night game to prove Tassie Stadium needs a roof.
Damo.
If you work at the AFL.
You are a conspiracy theorist.
I am. I can be. I can be. It's Fugazi because they've been that all over the place inside their footy department this year, obviously, that they wouldn't have actually been able to think that through. So it's just a quirk of the draw.
There was more poor planning than conspiracy theory.
And if that's the outcome, well done to it. But it's been by accident, not design, in my eyes.
Just on that game, Bernie, the Crows went in 2 top heavy against the Hawks.
Nah, Fugazi, they have done it all year and they've done it in all conditions. Yes, maybe that Collingwood game, they could have probably gone one short, seeing they rested Tex Walker the next week, but no, they've stuck with that and it's worked for them. Speaking
of tools, Joey, Fremantle are proving the 2 rucks can work.
That's fair dinkum. Yeah, the numbers are stacking up. They were both needed to take on Tristan Sherry. It does work and it can work. It's not going to work every single week, but I think they're wedded to it, and for them it's a bit of a point of difference.
For every matchup, Joey?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it'll depend on who they're playing and some of those things and where Sean Darcy's at with his body, but I think you can't say that it's not working.
I know your thoughts on this one, Damo, already, but Bernie, Sam Darcy is the most must-watch player in the comp.
fair dinkum. He is close to being the number one most important player in the competition. You see him come back in on the weekend and just look like he'd been playing all year. No signs of the leg injury and 3 goals. I don't know how you defend him. You can't defend him. And quite often, if you've got a good forward, you get an opposition defender that can drop off and spoil. But whoever drops off to spoil can't spoil either. So he's just the ball's too high. No one can get to him. So your number one player in the comp's not far away.
Damo, the Bont is your man. Is there a little bit of disrespect now going on with the Bont? Everybody talking about that Sam Darcy's the most important bulldog. I mean, the Bont's the greatest bulldog of all time.
I agree with that.
And all of a sudden, Sam Darcy's now more important than him.
But I reckon the most excited person in this conversation may be Bont himself.
That's it.
How exciting is it?
Asked you this last week, Damo, but with a win and now a narrow loss, North's Western Australia venture was a success.
Yeah, fair dinkum. I don't subscribe to had that game been played in Melbourne, North would have won because there's no guarantee of that. They gave themselves a chance, and I wasn't as critical as I have been for North losing another nice loss. I thought they actually fought the game out really well. So, look, the metrics of it require them to sell the games. They've lost the Tasmanian deal. They need to do it. I think well done to them because they got one win and nearly got another.
Well, that's right, isn't it? Those games are now instead of playing in Tassie. And they didn't have a good record in Tassie anyway. So that didn't make sense to say
they don't have a good record anywhere, Joey, for 6 years.
Exactly right.
Let's go anywhere.
But the money's important, and I think that trip away might have just galvanised the
It
group.
might have.
I think they're playing some pretty strong footy. They're building. So I think it was a success as well.
Joey, with game 350 this weekend, a premiership, a Brownlow and 8 All-Australians. Just going to change this question up a bit. Captaining a flag for Geelong will cement Patrick Dangerfield as a modern-day great.
Oh, he's already a modern-day great. If he can captain the premiership, where does that get him to? Oh, in the modern day, I've still got Ablett Franklin as the 2 for me, and then it's sort of Judd Dangerfield, probably Dustin Martin in that next bracket. So, but Danger absolutely is right up. Then if he can finish up with a premiership captain, it's hard to knock him off the mantle.
And he should have had a Norm Smith as well,
Yes,
as he keeps reminding everyone.
Is he?
Damo, it's too early in the season to say the premiership race is down to 3.
Fair dinkum. Yeah, I'm a big subscriber to that. I think recent history, particularly last year, I mean, at this stage of 2024, I'm not even sure the Lions were in the 8. And if they were, they only just got back in, having started with only 4 wins out of their first 12. So I still, again, I'm not committing to the Dockers going on a run, but I think they're capable of still being in that conversation and something that I'm not yet anticipating could also still happen.
Love your thoughts, Burner. I think I've now got Collingwood Geelong clear top 2. They're either both going to be in prelims at the MCG or they're going to meet each other in a prelim, and whichever team wins is going to be red hot favourite grand final day. So for me, I think there is a bit of a gap. I'd love your view.
Yeah, I've had a look at both of their runs home, and they may not lose a game, both teams, for the rest of the year. It'd have to be an upset. So I've got them clear standouts as well. Adelaide, they're around the mark, but they've got a very healthy list at the moment, Adelaide. Some key injuries. All of a sudden, that tests their depth again. Brisbane, only just going at the moment. Concerned about them. Hawthorn, a couple of good weeks, but still not convinced either. So I'm with you. They're the 2 clear standouts. You're
going to have to go through the MCG, whether it is Fremantle, Gold Coast, Adelaide. A lot of Brisbane, these interstate clubs are going to have to go through Collingwood or Geelong in a prelim at the MCG. That makes it extra hard.
Bernie Vince, I know the thoughts of Damo and Joey on this one, but the AFL was right to keep the traditional grand final start time of 2:30.
Do you know what? Just purely personally, fair dinkum. I like it at 2:30 because
you get on the,
more time to get in the
drink
September
after
club.
the Saturday rub doing. I've been with you when you've done that.
Get the Saturday rub out of the way nice and early. Enjoy the game. September club. Personally, I love it. If you ask me as a football, fan and watcher, probably twilight. I reckon we're probably ready for a twilight grand final. I think that probably ticks both boxes a little bit. Mm-hmm. Start with the lights on and finish with the light. Start in the day, finish in the night.
Your lights were out last week. Last year.
Still gives you a bit of time after for the September club. I just don't want a night one yet because, geez, I don't know what time we'd all finish up.
Spot on. 4:30 grand final would be perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, yes.
Joey, we forecast this at the start of the year, but the numbers prove the Lions are in dire need of a key forward.
No, it's Fugazi. I think they can manage without. I think Logan Morris is proving more than capable. Eric Hipwood plays his role, and they've got, once they can get Loman up and going, but Rayner, Charlie Cameron's been down. They've got enough talent. I don't think they necessarily, Zach Bailey, I don't think they necessarily need a key forward. They can win it without it. It's more difficult, but I still think they can.
It's more inaccuracy,
than
actual goal power.
Yep, they could have won their last 2 easily if they kick straight, and we wouldn't be having this chat.
Damo, safe to say our man BT doesn't rate a 100-goal milestone.
That was Brad Close, 100th goal, by the way. We didn't celebrate that enough, Baz, I don't think.
You don't really celebrate 100 goals.
Yes, you
Unless
do.
it's in a season.
100, mate. I kick 100 in a season.
That's it.
Not 100 in a career.
Sitting behind his Coleman medalist there, Jono. Just be careful.
Thanks for that, Chew. Thanks for that.
Just giving a grenade without the pin there. Yeah, this one, Jono.
What was the question again, Rabsy?
BT doesn't rate a 100-goal milestone.
No, fair dinkum. I mean, that's a good response from BT.
Well, I've learned with BT, he finds a way to subtly lead to the conversation that he kicked 100 in a season.
Yeah.
He does it subtly. He knows where he's going with it. He knew by saying 100 goals in a career, oh, big deal. He knew that was going to lead to 100 in a season is a bit better.
One of only 28 in the history of the game to do so. VFL, AFL stole BT. So
Surprised
it's a
he
good
didn't get that in
record.
From one Triple M legend to another, Bernie Vince going to play you a little bit of audio of our man Mickey.
Snaffing another quick one here. The Seagulls have invaded. Look at them.
They're coming
Invaded the
everywhere.
MCG.
They know.
That is a hell of a lot of Seagulls out there.
What's happened?
Oh, I don't know. Something's happened. Someone's dropped their chips or something.
Yep.
It's like that movie, Barry.
Like birds.
Yes.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Birds.
Aptly named.
That's right. There's a lot of birds in it.
Yeah.
You can see the wires up above the MCG that go from one side to the other there to stop the Seagulls.
Well, what's
Not
happening
working.
No, well, they're actually doing a good job, BT. They're keeping them in.
there? Robbo's getting crapped on down there. Robbo for Bob J. Timo.
I just had one of them shit on me. Serious, it's good luck, though.
Fair dinkum or Fugazi. Nothing worries our man Robbo on the boundary, Bernie.
That's fair dinkum. Pissing down or getting shat on by birds. He loves it. But yeah, what do those wires do?
They're not doing anything.
Wasn't much going on in that game, by the way, if they're talking about a movie about birds.
It worked for a little while, then the Seagulls were too smart and realised they did nothing.
We got some huge games, a couple at the MCG this weekend. We're going to get your predictions for round 15 up next. Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, Joey, Damo and Bernie. Don't forget, you can catch every game across round 15 on Triple M and the Listener app starting tomorrow night with the Thursday rub ahead of Fremantle versus Essendon. Let's get your thoughts on that game, please, Joey Montagna.
Yeah, I'm worried it might be a long second half of the season for the Bombers now, just with the weight of the injuries and the youngsters. So Fremantle at home should be taking care of business.
It should be no problems for the Dockers by 10 goals minimum plus.
Bit of rain around too. 4 games in 6 days, I think, on that ground with the Origin as well, Wednesday night. So, it's going to get ugly. I think they're into over 40 players used, I think, after Thursday night's game, Essendon, which is how many on a list? There's not many left. Pretty unlucky if you haven't played at Essendon.
44 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can go above that with certain
Cap Bs and
additions
rookies
and
Yeah.
Geelong versus Brisbane, danger 350, Damo. That is a huge game.
You know my theory, Rabsy and Joey, and I think Byrne does too. You just tip Geelong every single week, and it's you're going to be right 72% of the time. So particularly in a milestone game coming up. So I do rate Brisbane. I think they're a chance in this game, but the Cats are the tip.
Cats
building
easily
aren't
for
they?
me. Yep.
They're building beautifully, the Cats. Yeah, I can't see them getting beaten at home. Brisbane will have to play some strong footy, which we haven't seen enough of in the last 6 weeks. So I think it'll be tough.
Carlton have some injuries, Bernie, and they've got a huge game against Damo's North Melbourne at the MCG on Saturday.
I think North Melbourne are doing enough. Very unlucky to lose against Fremantle in Perth on the weekend. I've picked North Melbourne. I think they win this game with the injuries up front for Carlton, which would be a big concern for that footy club if they were to lose this.
Last 6 or 7 weeks, the numbers are looking much better for North. They've been more competitive, Damo, but early in the year, I got burnt tipping North Melbourne. I had too much faith in them, and they let me down.
Show some faith,
Joey.
Joey.
He has, and he's regularly been wrong.
I've been burnt. I'm going to go Carlton.
Come on, Damo. Come on.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not as critical of North in the past fortnight as I have been for some time, but I'm not tipping them against Carlton.
That's being critical.
He'll start tipping them in 2029.
Joey, Port Adelaide versus Sydney. The Power's starting to roll a little bit.
Yeah, they are. They're starting to get a bit of momentum. Well done to Mitch Georgiades and Sava Radigalia. The bookends were brilliant.
Yeah.
We know they've got the stars in the midfield are all fit and healthy at the same time. I like the way Port are going. Still not convinced on Sydney. It was an easy kill against Richmond the other week. I think Port Adelaide.
I've got a very similar assessment. There's a steeliness, the way I read it now, over Connor Rozee and Zach Butters coming out of the bye. There always is with those guys, particularly Butters, but I like what they've done in the past fortnight, and I just think they'll beat Sydney, comfortably.
I got them winning 3 of the next 4 after a good win or good couple of wins in a row now already. They've got 3 of the next 4 at home and played at home on the weekend. So that's 4 or 5 in a row in Adelaide. So that game I've got them maybe losing is Brisbane at the Gabba, and they've been beatable up there this year. So, they could be even better. So they've come from $31 into 8 to make the top 8.
I was going to say, are you saying the top 8 is still a possibility for Port? They can get on a roll. The Ken Hinkley-inspired sort of back end of season last hurrah?
No, I don't think they make the 8, but they'll scare a few teams in there, I reckon.
Collingwood St Kilda Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, Damo.
Pies. I think there'll be a chance. St Kilda, as weird as that sounds, with losing 7 of their past 9 and their past 3 weeks being poor, I just have a gut feel they'll be okay, but Collingwood.
Saints a better team at Marvel, but I can't see them getting over Collingwood. They're the complete package. They defend well, they attack enough. They're just ticking all the boxes for me.
Now, Saints will bring in some kids, and that's what Saints fans want to see. They want to see the hope in the future, but I don't think they can beat the Pies.
What about GWS versus Gold Coast, Bernie? The Expansion Cup at NG Stadium on Sunday. Yes.
I reckon they're not favourites, but I think Gold Coast win this one. It's going to be a good day in Sydney. I think Gold Coast play their better footy when the sun's out and guns are out for that team up there. So Giants, I tell you, they just, whenever they're favourites, they lose, and whenever they're underdogs, they win. So they're favourites, and I'm going down that path again.
It'll all depend on how the game is played. If it's a contest game and it's low scoring and it's a stoppage game, Gold Coast will win. If Gold Coast want to play in a shootout against the Giants, well, good luck, they'll get beaten. So I'll tip Gold Coast. I think they can cause an upset because the blueprint is there. Scrap it, lock it down, and Giants struggle in those type of games.
Are you worried about Taylor being out
for
that's
a big
4 to 5
blow.
weeks?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Giants with no confidence.
Aaron Cabin announced himself on the weekend as well. He had some good games last year, but that was very big for
He
Aaron
needed
Cabin.
one. He hadn't had a breakout game. It was a long time coming. I mean, it's his third season, halfway through his third season. He really needed that. So it was great to see. I'm sort of, not going to all of a sudden declare him going to be one of the great key forwards of the competition, but he showed the talent, the reason why he went pick 1, and hopefully he has some more consistency now.
Finally, we finish off round 15, Damo, with the Western Bulldogs versus Richmond. I guess it's just Sam Darcy watch for this game.
Yeah, they won't be able to stop him, and they should win by 12 goals plus.
Sam Darcy could kick 16. There could be body bags. Richmond, I think this could be over 100 points. And we know how fast the Dogs can score. Being at Marvel as well, it's danger for Richmond.
The positive for the Tigers, it's a day game, so Noah Bolter will be available, and hopefully he can do something to help slow down Sam Darcy. That's just a fact, Bernie.
It is, yeah.
But no,
Interesting point, though.
The Dogs are going to beat Richmond.
They'll only lose by 95.
Come on.
Joey.
It's a day game. He's trying. I'm saying we're talking about Sam Darcy.
So
We all knew it. You didn't have to go down there.
The only positive for Richmond is that Bolter's playing. That's good sell to their club.
He's waited till the 30th minute of the podcast just to stick a boot in.
They got that, Richmond.
You can catch every game across round 15 on Triple M and the Listener app. Bernie, thank you very much for sticking around after Brekkie Radio. It means a lot to us. Go home and have a nap.
Thanks, Bern.
No, thank you
See you
guys.
Saturday,
Thanks for having
Bern.
me.
Damo
Even though I
will
was
be-
about 15th picked.
Damo will be back as well next week with Daisy and Joey. Make sure you listen every game across round 15, starting tomorrow night with the Thursday rub ahead of Fremantle versus Eston from Optus Stadium.